Alex.
I'm going to take that whole thing over again. But I'd like to talk about. Yeah, I'm just going to.
Okay. Rolling.
Rolling! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Kangahuhias.
My name is Matt Kenney.
And I'll be Mike Michaud later on.
We need to introduce you to our everything.
And our cameraman, Matt Kenney.
He's more than our cameraman.
We're here to talk about a movie that has
He's our
long
editor.
since gone by the wayside, and we want to resurrect it.
That's how we're introducing this film?
I'll give you a hint. Go ahead, Sham. Play it again.
Okay, but that was never... First of all, big misconception. That's a line that was never uttered in this film.
All right. You're going to do like you're told and get on that plane with Laszlo tomorrow.
Wow.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Amazing. Amazing.
Casablanca. Stay with us. You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss.
A sigh is just a sigh.
All right, we're back. Casablanca. I keep thinking about this movie. I'm thinking anybody born before or after 1995 probably has no conception of who Humphrey Bogart is.
You know how they discover this film? They go on YouTube and they look at something that says, the best film ever made, Casablanca. And they're like, what is this? They've never heard of it. That's how they describe it. And so we're here to talk about why is this film regarded by so many universally as the best film ever made?
I don't think it's the best film ever made,
As the
but
best
it's
film-
a damn good film.
As the best film that Hollywood ever produced.
Casablanca, starring the inimitable Humphrey Bogart and the lovely Ingrid Bergman, directed by Michael Curtiz,
Yes.
who also directed Robin Hood.
So many
One of
fantastic
my
films.
favorite films. I thought that was the best
That is-
film ever
it's a
made.
great film.
All right, okay. But getting back to this, when I was a kid and I grew up and I was watching these movies because my mother and father watched these movies, these actors like Humphrey Bogart, they lasted for decades.
That's right.
They were top stars for decades. Now, any top star is gone. It's like the flavor of the month, isn't it? When's the last great star we had?
Well, it's too soon to see who will be on that level with a Humphrey Bogart. But it
Bogart.
could be, like, from this generation, if I were to make a prediction, it could be Leonardo DiCaprio.
No!
It could be
No.
Brad Pitt. It could
it'd probably have to be
Denzel Washington. Probably the closest.
I don't think so. He's not been around long enough.
Well,
Maybe
He
Tom
has.
Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
because
back
he's
in-
the kind of actor. I mean, you can't compare Sean Penn with Humphrey Bogart. They're totally different actors, but he's been around a long time too. But
Yeah.
these guys, Humphrey Bogart was in your movies every year,
right.
And for years and years and years and years, even into his 50s.
And it was really Casablanca, 1942, that catapulted him into a romantic
That's true.
leading man part. And he was already in sort of the middle of his career. He'd been making films. He'd been around for a long time.
That's right.
Probably over 15 years. And this film came to him at a time where, under contract to Warner Brothers, he was now already a top box office star, but not yet regarded as a romantic lead, more of an action hero
And a bad guy.
and a bad guy and a heavy.
He was always the dark guy. I remember he was under contract for Warner Brothers for years and years. He did films with James Cagney, right? They were always the same,
right.
the top bad guys he
That's right.
had. And
And
you're
so-
right, this film put him over into a different category, didn't it?
That's right, it did. And this film was
Made him a
rushed.
leading man.
It was rushed into production when the Allied forces ended up going into northern Africa.
Right.
And a big victory for the Allied forces. Within a couple of weeks, this film was produced.
Yeah, it was a more or less a propaganda film.
And it's regarded as a wartime escapist film.
But didn't it start off as a short story or something? What was it?
It was called Rick's Cafe.
Rick's Cafe.
Being
It was
at
a
Rick's
play.
Cafe.
It was a play.
And that first shot, Mike, when the camera takes you into
Casablanca.
Rick's Cafe, and it's
Yeah.
just this pan of this room. You see all the different characters, but what you may not realize at that time is every one of those people is dealing with a life or death situation. trying to figure out a way to get out of Casablanca and to America. Or
You see, Casablanca is in Morocco, and at that time it was the only way to get out of Nazi-occupied Europe to the United States, was to get to Casablanca. So everybody who was there was in transit. They're waiting for a way to get out. They're waiting for papers to get out.
And what's so interesting is, and this film is a film that I totally bond with my dad when it comes to this film, because he actually lived through this era. He was a child. He was born in France and suffered through World War II. So to be able to watch it with him so many times together and have him inform my experience of watching this film because of the history that he's able to bring to it is incredible. And that's another reason why you want to be able to encourage people to go see a film like this, because it's so rich.
I'm going to talk about.
That's right. And I think what made this thing, what cemented this as one of those immortal films, was the love affair between Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, the characters. Rick and Ilsa?
Ilsa.
Ilsa. It became one of the big romantic tent poles
Ever.
of Warner Brothers.
Well, what did you think of that ending?
I love the ending. Did you know that the plane on that airstrip was made of cardboard? That last shot, it was done in Van Nuys. It was made of
No, I
cardboard.
didn't know that.
And that's why they didn't show you a close-up of it.
It doesn't
They didn't
surprise
want
me
to.
though. It doesn't surprise me though
They had the
because
money for it.
yeah, I mean this is a film that was made in Burbank on the back Hollywood studio.
It was a great film. And not only that, what I liked about it was this push and pull between all the characters. You got Rick, you know, who is left standing at the railway station, bitter. He runs into her. He's pissed off at her. He lets her know that he has the key to get her husband out. He's not going to give it up. And then he finds out why she left him, which makes him torn. And then she turns out that she can't live without him, so she wants him to help her get Laszlo out of the
right.
country. And he turns around and says no.
Well, because you just don't know
Just back
where
and
he's
forth.
going to stand. I mean, as a man, his moral character is put into question because you find yourself looking at a man who's going to make a choice between his own love for a woman, or is he going to sacrifice that love for the cause?
What I liked about this film, I think you should go out and see this film, especially if you're in your 20s or your 30s. It's one of those films that epitomizes good filmmaking back in the day. The dialogue, the script, the characterizations, the plot, the character motivations, the mood, the cinematography, the direction, all of this comes together beautifully in this wonderfully, wonderfully iconic film. I highly recommend you go see it.
How many famous lines of dialogue are there
come
from
out of there?
this film?
Yes.
All the usual round up all the usual suspects.
You know, it was Best Picture for what year?
1942. It actually was nominated for many Oscars and won. You know what? I should know this, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know the facts about the Oscars. So I don't know.
Okay.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. We got 2 minutes left, and here's where we go into Alex's 2 minutes, and Mike gets nothing. So let's see if that'll change this time around.
Well, here's what I would like to beg of young people
There's
today.
30 seconds.
Young people may not necessarily have this on their list of films to see.
I agree.
But it needs to be, because it is one of the richest experiences you can have at the movies. Because of the history and what it meant to America that this film was made at a time during the war when we needed this type of morale-boosting cinema to give us faith in what we were doing in fighting a common enemy at that time, Germany, Hitler. Number two, the characters. Each one has its moment, has their moment on screen. It could be just the smallest bit player, but from the close-ups to the dialogue to the action, it brilliantly staged for the actors. Another thing, the different genres that are weaved together from film noir to romance to melodrama to action to even documentary filmmaking and footage was used in this film. So all of that coming together into this masterpiece is what makes this film such an original experience, and something that I hope kids will seek out. What did you say you were going to do if your cat jumped up and started playing with the film equipment? You said you were going to go and...
So far, you're into 5 minutes. I'm wondering when I get my 1 minute.
I'm going to start that all over again because my take was blown
It's just
because of
not-
that cat.
Go from the kids.
What I loved about this film is watching it with my dad.
There you go. It's
What I
beautiful.
loved about this film was watching it with my dad.
There you go. It's beautiful.
But I can't just say that. I have to say,
What I like about this film is I think it's Bogart's greatest film. I mean, he did a lot of films afterward. He did African Queen. He did a lot of great films. But I
and
think
The Lonely Place, one of my
Lonely
favorites.
Place. Oh, how about Petrified Forest?
Incredible. That was
You're
a
either
huge...
going to tell me what I want to know or I'm going to kill a lot of you. That's what he says. Anyway, if you want to see an iconic actor, and you'll never see these actors again, my friends, because, you know, when computers came in and they started streaming stuff, they didn't make movies the same way.
80 years later.
Yeah, you can actually be in a scene where you're there for a couple of minutes, where they're not going back and forth. That's what I loved about it. Anyway, I think you should go with this film. I give it a number 10 out of 10. How about you?
I give this film has no rating because it's such a masterpiece.
Even after all
Watershed
these
moment in
years.
filmmaking. Definitely 10 out of 10. One thing I wanted to talk about was Ingrid Bergman's performance. Why? Because being a
Brilliant
European actress, this film came to her at the right time where she could bring all of her experience.
And this launched her career.
It really took her
really
to
did.
another level.
They discovered her. Anyway, what do you want to say?
I want to say that she has a scene in here where she has to go from the heroine to, for a moment, the villain because she... Oh, God.
Just say the damn line, will you? Like, dislike, and subscribe, or
Oh, you
whatever.
want me to say that?
Yeah.
You say it.
I don't know what it is. What's the
Exactly.
line?
Exactly.
Well,
It's a
because
lot of
you-
pressure to
you're-
say that. Well, you
What
can
is
say
it?
it.
What's the line? Give me the line.
Like, comment, and subscribe below.
Good. So, folks, like, comment, and subscribe below. Mike and Al.
Do it again.
Okay, folks, like, comment, and subscribe below.
And thank you for watching Mike and Al.
What the hell?
That was good.
This could have been so much better. We needed to spend some time talking about this film, much more.
I know. I was trying to. You know, you were in your notes.
Well, I have my notes. So let's just go through my notes.